All right, let's get some more analysis from Joel Griffith. He's a research fellow with the Roe Institute at the Heritage Foundation. He joins us now from Washington. Joel, good to have you on the show. Let's talk to you about sanctions. Yes, I understand that this is another link in the chain, but how much of an effect do you think is this really going to have in terms of putting pressure on the Russian economy, given the fact that only a fraction of U.S. oil actually comes from Russia?
You're exactly right. Around just a fraction of our total imports every year come from Russia. In fact, in last year, we became energy independent in terms of net exports for the first time since 1949. That was a big accomplishment for the United States. So the fact that the Biden administration is putting these sanctions on oil coming from Russia, it is a positive. But our oil imports have gone to almost zero over the last several months.
There is a concern in the global markets that it could cause a choke up. And one of the more interesting lines that I've come across this evening is that Venezuela is releasing 2 American citizens from prison. Could this be some sort of backdoor diplomacy going on between the U.S. and Venezuela to somehow get Venezuelan oil onto the global markets?
Well, to see the Biden administration turning from one dictator, Putin, to another, Maduro in Venezuela, to alleviate this supply crunch is preposterous. We have the energy resources here in the United States to maintain our independence. The problem is that we actually saw our oil production shrink by about 1 million barrels a day last year compared to 2019. That 1 million barrels a day exceeds the total amount of imports every day that we were taking in from Russia last year. So the solution here is to actually increase production here in the United States. But unfortunately, the Biden administration from day one has been doing their best to ensure that we will have less oil and natural gas development and production here in the United States. For us to be sanctioning Russia, which is a great thing, we should be sanctioning Russia. But for us to do that without increasing our own supply, that is a needless slap in the face to American consumers.
All right, let's talk Russian sanctions. I mean, it seems that the sanctions that have been announced so far, led by U.S. President Joe Biden, have had little effect in terms of deterring the Russian president and what he's doing in Ukraine. Do you think that there's anything more that could be done? I mean, what's the silver bullet here?
Well, we need to be ensuring that our ally, Ukraine, has the armaments. We can help them with the armaments that they need. We continue to put financial pressure on Russia. But I think really this is a warning both to Europe and to the United States and our allies that we need to ensure long-term energy independence from hostile nations such as Russia and Iran and Venezuela. We have the natural resources here in the United States, and Europe has abundant natural resources as well. We need to unleash those resources. And for this administration to be killing pipelines, to be blocking refineries from being built, and from actually freezing new development on federal lands, that is a shame. We have hundreds of years worth of reserves in the United States. I think we need to develop those resources. And sadly, Americans and our allies across Europe as well are going to be paying for the malfeasance of this administration, but also many governments across Europe that have catered to far left environmental groups over the last few years in really handicapping our own ability to produce our own energy.
Politics is an interesting game, and what we've seen, especially throughout the beginning of this crisis, countries that have been traditionally, historically close with the United States, whether it's the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates, oil-rich countries, they haven't spoken with the Biden administration, but they have spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin. I want to hear your thoughts in terms of sort of the shifting geopolitics we're seeing in all this when it comes to energy.
Look, there's a lot of competing interests here, and we know with prices now per barrel reaching $130 a barrel yesterday, those that are producing are making enormous sums of money. And once again, this underscores the necessity of allowing producers here in the United States to develop, to drill, and to produce. So we are hurting ourselves, and allies across Europe as well are harmed by this because it's forcing them to be more dependent on Russia. And politicians across the EU, including particularly in Germany, are to blame for this because they have willingly subjected themselves to dependence. Think about the pipeline that was going to be transporting natural gas from Russia to Germany. The prior administration very strongly encouraged Germany to abandon those plans, and Germany went full steam ahead. And now we are bearing the consequences of this because nations that are friendly, that are allied with us and with Western values, they are now hesitant to actually push back against the Russian aggression. And that's because they are dependent on those Russian energy sources.
Okay.
It's time to abandon these policies that have made them dependent on a hostile regime.
Joel Griffith, pleasure speaking to you. I do appreciate the analysis. Thank you.